The alien market on planet Varnak was loud, hot and full of strange smells. Creatures from all over the galaxy walked through its narrow streets, trading things like fire crystals, talking lizards, and memory dust. But hidden deep inside the market there was a cage. And inside that cage was a girl. Most people avoided the cage, some whispered stories. Others just walked faster when they passed it. That girl's bite can kill any alien, a vendor told his customer. 17 are dead already. Her name was not known to them. They only called her the Death Girl. She looked small, maybe 17 or 18. Her skin was pale blue and her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't beg. She just sat there, hugging her knees, looking cold and tired. But her eyes always watched, sharp like a hunter's. Then one day a human came to the market. His name was Raylan. He wore a long black coat and carried a small bag. He wasn't rich, wasn't important. Just another traveler passing through the galaxy. He had no plan to stop here long. But when he passed the cage, something stopped him. His eyes met hers. For a second he felt something strange, like a pull. A quiet voice inside him whispered, "Go to her." Raylan turned to the vendor beside the cage. "Who is she?" he asked. The vendor laughed nervously. "She's cursed," he said. "Her bite can kill even the strongest warrior. Many have tried to take her. All are dead now." Raylan looked at her again. She didn't look dangerous. She looked scared. He stepped closer to the cage. The vendor shouted, "Don't touch the bars! Even a scratch from her is deadly." But Raylan didn't stop. He knelt beside the cage and said softly, "Can you hear me?" The girl didn't move, but her eyes locked on his face. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I just want to know, why are you in a cage?" For the first time the girl moved. She crawled slowly toward him. The guards nearby raised their weapons. Ready to shoot, Raylan held up his hand. "Easy," he said. "I'm not doing anything." The girl reached the edge of the cage. Her face came close to the bars. She tilted her head, like she was trying to understand him. Then, without warning, her hand shot out between the bars and grabbed Raylan's wrist. Everyone gasped. The vendor screamed, "She bit him!" "She bit the human." Raylan felt her teeth press into his skin, sharp and cold. Then she pulled back and stared at him, waiting, like she expected something to happen. The guards aimed their guns at her, ready to kill. "Let her go!" someone shouted. "She's attacked again." But Raylan didn't fall, he didn't scream, he didn't die. He just stood there, staring at his hand. The bite mark was there, but no blood, no pain. Just a strange warmth. He looked at the girl, her eyes now wide in shock. "You're not dying," she whispered. Her voice was soft and shaky, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. Raylan said nothing. He looked around and everyone was staring at him like he was a ghost. "She bit him," the vendor said, "but he's still alive. How?" Guards ran toward him, weapons raised. Raylan stepped back, confused. "Wait, She's cursed," someone shouted. "And now he's cursed too." Raylan looked at the girl again. She wasn't smiling, she wasn't angry. She looked afraid. Before the guards could grab him, Raylan turned and ran. The crowd moved aside, too scared to stop him. Behind him, he heard the girl's soft voice again. You didn't die?" Raylan didn't know why he was still alive. He didn't know who she was, or what power she had, but one thing was clear. This girl was not just a prisoner. She was something more, something powerful. And he was now a part of her story. Raylan ran through the crowded market streets. His heart racing. All around him, alien eyes followed. Some filled with fear, others with disbelief. They had seen what just happened. The death girl had bitten him and he was still alive. He ducked into a narrow alley between glowing walls, his breath heavy. He stared at his hand. The bite mark was still there, but no pain, no burning, just warmth. A strange warmth that slowly spread through his arm, like his blood was changing. "I should be dead," Raylan whispered to himself. "Why am I not?" Somewhere behind him he heard shouts. The guards were looking for him. They wanted answers. Or maybe they just wanted to keep people quiet. No one survived that girl's bite before. Raylan pressed his back to a metal wall, breathing deeply. He remembered her eyes, how they widened in shock when he didn't fall. Her voice soft like snow. "You didn't die." He had to know why. That night, after the market was quiet, Raylan returned to the cage. The guards were gone, but 2 red drones floated nearby, scanning for movement. Raylan moved like a shadow, careful and slow. The girl was still in the cage, sitting in the corner. She looked weak, her head resting on her knees, but when he got close, she lifted her eyes and stared straight at him. "You came back," she said. I need answers, Raylan replied. What did you do to me? The girl crawled closer, still behind the bars. I don't know why you're alive, she said. Everyone else. They died. Some in seconds, some in minutes, but all of them. Gone. Raylan knelt beside the cage. Then what are you? She was quiet for a moment, then whispered, a mistake. Her voice was full of sadness, deeper than he expected. They made me in a lab, not born like others. They said I would be their weapon, so they mixed alien DNA, deadly kinds. My bite was my curse. Raylan was silent. Watching her closely, she wasn't lying. She wasn't proud of it either. Her hands trembled as she hugged her arms like she hated herself. Why haven't you killed yourself then? He asked gently. She looked up, surprised by his question. Because someone told me to stay alive, she said. He said I wasn't just a weapon. He said, maybe someone would come. Someone I couldn't kill. Raylan felt the warmth in his hand again. The bite mark was glowing faintly under his skin. Maybe that someone is me, he said softly, suddenly. The sound of metal boots echoed in the alley. Red lights flashed across the walls. The drones had found him. Step away from the cage, a robotic voice shouted. Raylan stood up slowly, raising his hands. I'm not a threat, he said. She didn't harm me. That's not your choice, the voice replied. She is dangerous. You are infected. Come with us. Raylan looked at the girl. Her eyes were wide with fear, she whispered. They'll kill you, just like the others who tried to help me. Then we need to run, he said. She shook her head. I can't leave the cage. It's locked with blood code. Raylan didn't know what that meant, but he acted fast. He pulled out a small device from his pocket, a pulse key. Old tech, but useful. He pressed it against the lock. The device buzzed, beeped, then sparked. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The girl froze. No one ever opened it before. You said I'm different, Raylan said. Then come with me. She took a step outside the cage. Her legs weak like she hadn't walked in days. Raylan grabbed her arm to help. She didn't pull away. The drones fired warning shots, bright lasers burning through the walls. Raylan shielded her and ran, dragging her through the back alleys. The market became a maze of shadows and smoke. Voices shouting behind them, I don't even know your name, he shouted as they ran. She stumbled but kept going. Kayla, she said. My name is Kayla. Okay. Kayla, Raylan said, dodging a laser bolt. Let's get out of here alive. They reached the edge of the market where old ships were docked. Raylan spotted a small freighter, rusty but working. He broke in through the side panel and pulled Kayla inside. He slammed the door shut and powered the engine. The ship shook and rumbled. Rising off the ground, drones fired at them. But Raylan spun the ship hard and shot into the sky. Stars blurred around them as they escaped into space. Kayla collapsed into a seat, breathing hard. Raylan looked at her, his hand still glowing softly. What's happening to me? He asked. Kayla looked at him with tired eyes. You're changing, she whispered. Your blood. It's becoming like mine, Raylan leaned back, his thoughts racing. He had come to this planet for simple trade. Now he was flying through space with a deadly alien girl, and something inside him was waking up. He looked at her again. I need to know everything. Kayla nodded slowly. And I'll tell you, but you won't like what you hear. The small ship shook as it broke through the clouds. Engines roared and lights flashed across the dashboard. Raylan pushed the controls hard. Trying to stay steady, Kayla sat beside him, her arms wrapped tightly around her body, her eyes staring at nothing outside. The city lights of the alien market faded into the distance, but behind them 3 red drones were chasing fast. They moved like angry wasps cutting through the sky, sending out sharp warnings. They're not giving up, Raylan said. They really don't want you to leave. Kayla didn't answer. Her breathing was slow and quiet. Raylan glanced at her. Kayla, are you okay? I've never been outside that cage, she whispered. My legs feel like ice. My heart feels like it might stop. Raylan nodded. That's fear. You're free now, but freedom comes with danger. The ship's warning lights blinked red. Missile locked, the screen said. Raylan cursed under his breath. They're going to blow us out of the sky. Kayla looked at him. Let me help. Raylan shook his head. No offense, but I don't need you biting the controls. She gave a weak smile for the first time. Not that I can shut them down. How? He asked. My blood can jam their signal, she said. But I have to touch the ship's energy coil. That could kill you, Raylan said. Kayla shrugged. I was born to die anyway. Before he could argue, she stood and moved toward the back of the ship. Her steps were slow but steady now, Raylan stayed at the controls, watching the drones close in. His heart pounded with every beep. In the engine room, Kayla placed her hand on the glowing blue coil. Her eyes shut tight and her body began to glow faintly. The lights in the ship flickered. The sound of the engines changed, quieter, smoother. Then the drones outside began to spin in midair. Their red lights turned blue. Their weapons dropped back into their bodies. And then, one by one, they fell from the sky like dead birds. Raylan watched the radar screen go clear. "You did it," he said, smiling. "Kayla, you're a genius." She stumbled back into the cockpit. Her face pale, her hands shook like leaves. "I don't feel like a genius," she said. "I feel like I've used a part of myself I can't get back." Raylan helped her sit down. "Then rest, we're safe for now." They flew in silence for a while, stars blinking all around them. Raylan set the ship on auto and leaned back. He looked at her carefully. "Why were they so desperate to keep you locked up?" Kayla looked down. "Because I wasn't just built as a weapon," she said slowly. "I was also their experiment. They believed my DNA could create a new kind of soldier. One that doesn't need sleep, food, or orders." Raylan frowned. "You mean like a mindless army?" She nodded. "But I was the first and the last. I wasn't mindless, I had thoughts, feelings. I cried in the lab. And they didn't like that. So they locked you up," Raylan said, his voice hard. "Afraid of what they couldn't control." Kayla looked at him with tired eyes. "The last person who tried to help me. They died. That's why I stayed quiet for so long. I didn't want anyone else to die because of me. But I didn't die," Raylan said softly. "Your bite, it changed me instead," Kayla nodded. "Your blood must be different, special somehow. Maybe you're the one they were really looking for." Raylan stood and walked to the window, staring out into space. "I don't want to be part of some test. I just want to be free." Kayla joined him. "Then help me stay free too." Raylan turned to her. "Where do we go now?" "There's a moon," she said. "Old, quiet, forgotten. It used to be a mining post. No one goes there anymore. We can hide there, rest, plan." Raylan entered the coordinates she gave him. The ship changed course, heading for the dark side of a dead moon. As they got closer, the stars dimmed and silence wrapped around them like a blanket. They landed the ship near a broken tower, metal structures rusted and half buried in dust. Raylan helped Kayla out of the ship. The air was thin but breathable. The ground cracked under their feet like old bones. Kayla looked around and smiled slightly. "It's ugly, but it's peaceful." Raylan set up a small fire inside the ruins of the tower. He cooked something simple, protein cubes and heat broth. Kayla sat close to the flames. Watching them flicker, her eyes looked calmer now. "Thank you," she said, "for coming back to the cage. For trusting me." Raylan nodded. "I don't know why I did. Maybe something in your eyes," she chuckled softly. "Or maybe it was fate. He didn't believe in fate." But he didn't argue. Something about this girl, this strange, deadly girl, felt important, like his life had changed the moment she bit him. As they sat in the quiet ruins, Raylan noticed something. The bite mark on his hand was no longer just glowing. It was slowly spreading. Raylan couldn't sleep. The ruins were quiet. The fire still glowing. Kayla lay nearby, curled up under an old blanket, her breathing soft and slow. But Raylan kept staring at his hand. The bite mark was changing again. The skin around it now had thin silver lines like glowing veins. They moved slowly. Spreading up his arm, his fingers felt stronger. Warmer, almost electric. He didn't know if he should be afraid or excited. He stood up and walked outside. The night sky above the moon was full of stars. But they felt cold and distant. His mind was loud, full of questions. What was happening to him? Why did Kayla's bite change him instead of killing him? Behind him, soft footsteps came. Kayla stood there, her blanket over her shoulders. "You couldn't sleep either," she said. Raylan turned, showing her his hand. "It's spreading," he said, "my blood. It's not normal anymore." Kayla stepped closer and looked at his arm. Her face was calm, but her eyes were serious. "I thought this might happen," she said, "but not this fast." "Tell me the truth," Raylan said. "What are you, Kayla? What did they make you into?" She sat on a broken metal box and looked at the stars. Her voice was low. "I was made in a lab, like I told you, but not by one species. They used blood from 6 alien races, all deadly. They wanted to create something that could survive any poison, heal from any wound, and destroy any threat." Raylan sat beside her. And they put that power in you, Kayla nodded. But they didn't expect me to have a mind. I wasn't supposed to feel pain or sadness or loneliness, but I did. Raylan listened quietly. Her voice was shaking slightly now. Not from fear, but from old memories. One day, I escaped, she said. I don't remember how. Just that someone helped me, a human. He broke my cage, gave me a map, and said, "Find someone who won't die when you touch them." Then he vanished. Raylan's eyes narrowed. A human? Yes, she said. He had kind eyes and a scar on his neck. Raylan's heart skipped. My brother had a scar like that, he said slowly. He disappeared 5 years ago during a mission on the Outer Rim. His name was Darren. Kayla's eyes widened. Darren, she whispered. That was his name. They sat in silence for a moment. The cold air brushing past them. 2 lives now tangled in one truth. If he helped you, Raylan said, then he knew. He knew I was connected to this. Kayla looked down at his hand again. I think you have the same blood marker as him. A rare gene, 1 in a billion. That's why you didn't die when I bit you. That's why your body is changing. Raylan felt his heartbeat in his throat. What am I becoming? Kayla shook her head. I don't know, something new. Something they never finished testing. Suddenly a loud sound echoed from the sky. A deep rumble like thunder without clouds. Raylan grabbed his blaster and looked up. A dark ship was falling through the clouds, smoke trailing behind it. It's crashing, Kayla said, standing quickly. We have to see who's inside. Raylan nodded. And they ran across the dusty plain. The moon's ground cracked under their feet. Sharp stones cutting their boots. In the distance, the ship slammed into the ground with a fiery boom. Smoke rose into the air, glowing orange in the dark. They reached the wreck fast. Flames hissed around the broken metal. The door was open, wires sparking. Raylan aimed his weapon carefully as they stepped inside. A figure was lying near the control panel. Badly hurt but alive, it was a woman. Tall, with silver skin and glowing green eyes, her body was covered in armor that pulsed like it was alive. Raylan helped her sit up. Who are you? He asked. The woman opened her eyes slowly. I was sent to find the girl, she said weakly. Not to harm, but to warn. Kayla stepped back. You're one of them. The woman nodded. I was, but I left the lab too. I saw what they did to you. And I couldn't be part of it anymore. Then why crash here? Raylan asked. Because they're coming, she said. Coughing. The ones who created her. They've tracked her signal. They'll be here in a day. And they won't stop this time. Kayla looked terrified. They want to finish the project. No, the woman said. They want to erase it. You and anyone connected to it. Raylan helped her lie down and turned to Kayla. We need to leave. Kayla shook her head. No, we need to fight. I'm tired of running. I want to know what I am, and I want them to fear me, not cage me. Raylan looked at her, saw the fire in her eyes. She was no longer just a frightened girl from a cage. She was something powerful. And she was ready. Then we fight, he said. But we do it smart. We find answers first. And we hit them where it hurts, Kayla nodded. Her hand glowing faintly in the dark. The war for the truth had just begun. The fire in the ruined tower had gone cold, but Raylan's mind was burning. He sat near the injured silver-skinned woman they had pulled from the wrecked ship. Her armor still glowed faintly. Pulsing like a weak heartbeat, Kayla sat on the other side. Arms crossed, eyes watching the door. They're coming, the woman whispered again. The ones who made her, they've already left the lab. They'll find this moon by sunrise, Raylan asked. How many? Too many, she replied. Not soldiers, hunters. They're trained to erase things. Not capture them, they'll kill you, Kayla. And anyone who stands with you, Kayla didn't flinch. She looked straight at the woman. Then we need to go now. Before they land. No, Raylan said, standing up. Running won't help anymore. We need information, we need a way to stop them. Kayla turned toward him, her eyes calm but fierce. Then we find the scientist, Raylan paused. What scientist? Kayla stood slowly, dust falling from her clothes. The one who helped make me. He's the only one who knows the full truth. The maps in the lab listed a name. Dr. Helix. He disappeared 10 years ago. But I remember the star code on his badge. I memorized it. Raylan blinked. You memorized a star code as a child? Kayla looked at him. I memorized everything I could. It was the only way to survive, Raylan nodded. Impressed. Then we find Helix. Maybe he knows why I survived your bite. Maybe he knows what's happening to me. The silver-skinned woman groaned. You'll need my ship. It can jump through old channels, faster than anything they'll send. Raylan helped her up carefully. What's your name? She hesitated, then said, Lyra, I was Project Echo. The experiment before Kayla. Kayla's eyes narrowed. I never heard of you. They erased me, Lyra said. Just like they'll erase you if you don't move now. With Lyra guiding them, they returned to the wrecked ship. Raylan fixed the jump drive using parts from his own freighter. After hours of work, sparks and burns, the ship roared to life. Kayla took the seat beside him, her hand resting on the panel. Ready? Raylan asked. Kayla nodded. Let's find out who I really am. With a flash of blue light, the ship vanished into hyperspace. Stars stretched and twisted around them like threads of silver. The journey was short but heavy. Every second brought them closer to the past, to answers or more danger. They arrived above a small frozen planet half covered in clouds. An old station floated near the orbit, nearly invisible. That's Helix's last known lab, Lyra said. He went silent after Project Kayla began. I think he had regrets. Raylan landed the ship on the icy surface near the station. It was dark, broken, barely holding power. But the door still opened when Kayla touched the panel. Her blood activated the lock. Inside, the air was thin and cold. Lights flickered weakly, and walls were covered in old warnings. Kayla walked slowly, memories flashing behind her eyes. I've been here before, she whispered. This is where they took my voice, where they first tested my bite. Raylan looked around, his hand on his blaster. Stay close. They reached a locked chamber at the back. Kyla pressed her hand to the door. It scanned her blood and opened with a hiss. Inside was a room full of screens, tanks, and cryobeds. And at the center, floating in a blue tube, was a man, old thin white beard drifting in the water. Wires plugged into his head. Dr. Helix, Kayla said, her voice like stone. You're still alive. Raylan found the release switch and drained the tank. The man fell into his arms. Coughing and gasping, his eyes opened slowly. Soft and confused, Kayla, he said weakly. You're real. She stepped closer. Tell me the truth, why didn't my bite kill him? She pointed to Raylan. Why is he changing? Dr. Helix looked at Raylan, his eyes wide with surprise. Because he's the carrier. Raylan frowned. What does that mean? You have the gene, Helix said, the rare one. The one that was meant to balance her blood. You were never meant to be a test subject. You were the match. You were supposed to control her power. Kayla stepped back, her voice shaking. You mean I was made for someone like him? Helix nodded slowly. Not made for love, not made for kindness, just made for balance, but your emotions, your thoughts. They changed everything. Raylan's jaw tightened. So I'm some kind of key? Yes, Helix said. And now your blood and hers are mixing in ways we never imagined. Together you are the cure and the weapon. Suddenly, the station's lights turned red. A loud alarm echoed through the halls. They're here, Lyra said, her voice cold. Your creators just arrived. Raylan stood tall, his glowing hand gripping his blaster. Kayla's body lit up with faint blue energy, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. We end this today, she said. No more running. No more cages. Raylan looked at her and smiled. Let them come. The red lights kept flashing inside the frozen lab. Warning sirens echoed like cold metal screams. Kayla stood in the doorway, her body glowing softly. Raylan stood beside her, holding his blaster. His veins shimmered faintly with silver light, spreading from the bite mark. Dr. Helix, still weak and shivering, spoke quickly. You don't have much time once they land. They'll destroy everything, this lab, me, you both. Then talk fast, Raylan said. Tell us what you never told anyone. Kayla didn't move, her eyes fixed on the doctor, her voice calm but sharp. Tell me what I really am. Helix swallowed hard. You weren't the first attempt. Kyla, there were others, 10 before you. But they all failed, their minds broke. Their bodies fell apart, Kayla blinked. Why did I survive? Because of your mind, he said. You held on to something they didn't, you dreamed, you hoped. That made you stronger than the others. Raylan glanced at Kayla. She said a human helped her escape. That was my brother, Darren. Did you know him? Helix nodded slowly. He was a guard we hired. We thought he'd follow orders, but he saw Kayla as a person, not a weapon. He gave her a chance to run. And for that, he was taken. Kayla stepped closer, her fist tight. You let them hurt him? Helix lowered his eyes. I tried to stop them. But by then, I had no power. They erased Darren's memory. They turned him into something else, a shadow tool. Raylan's voice cracked. You mean he's still alive? Yes, Helix whispered. But not the brother you knew. They called him Subject Hollow, a ghost killer. No thoughts, no voice. Just commands, Kayla gasped softly. I saw him once, I didn't know who he was, but... Something in his eyes felt familiar. Raylan stepped back, his hands trembling. They turned my brother into a monster. No, Kayla said gently. They tried, but I think his soul is still there. Deep inside, before anyone could say more, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The entire lab vibrated as a ship landed outside. Heavy and loud, Lyra appeared in the doorway, her armor glowing bright again. They're here, she said. 6 hunters, 2 engineers, and 1 shadow unit. Raylan froze. That's him, isn't it? Kayla reached out and touched his shoulder. We don't run this time, we finish it. But first, we save your brother. They moved fast, gathering supplies. Helix stayed behind in the cryo room, too weak to walk. I'll wipe the system before they enter, he promised. They won't get any data. Good, Kayla said. No one else should suffer like we did, outside. The frozen land stretched like a silver desert. The enemy ship had landed near the ridge, black and sharp like a knife in the snow. Figures moved toward them, tall, armored, cold. Kayla and Raylan hid behind old mining pipes, watching, waiting. One of the hunters walked ahead. Scanning the ground, Lyra nodded at Kayla. I'll distract them. Give you an opening. No, Raylan said. We stay together. That's the only way we win. A loud sound came from the left. Footsteps. Slow and heavy. A tall figure in dark armor stepped through the smoke. His face was covered, but something about him felt wrong. Empty, Kayla whispered. That's him. Raylan stared, his heart twisting. Darren? The shadow unit stood still, scanning the area. No emotion, no sound, just a machine in human form. Raylan stepped out slowly. Darren. It's me, your brother. The hunters raised their weapons. But the shadow unit raised a hand, stopping them. He walked forward. Face still covered, his voice came out cold and robotic. Unit 97. Target escaped subjects. No, Raylan shouted. You're not a unit, you're Darren. You saved her once. You're my brother. The shadow paused, head tilting. Kayla stepped beside Raylan. He remembered me once before, maybe. Maybe he can remember again. She walked slowly toward the shadow, her hand glowing blue, her voice soft. You told me not to give up. You said someone would survive my bite. You called me human. The shadow didn't move, but his fingers twitched slightly. Raylan stepped forward too. You used to protect people. Darren, that's who you were. You can be that again. Suddenly, one of the hunters shouted, He's glitching! Terminate him! They raised their rifles, but before they could fire, Darren moved fast like lightning. He turned and attacked the hunters, striking them down one by one. No hesitation, just clean, fast movements. Raylan and Kayla watched in shock when it was over. Only Darren stood, breathing hard, blood on his armor. His helmet slid open, revealing a scarred face. But his eyes were clear. Ray, he whispered. I remember. Raylan rushed forward and hugged him tightly. You came back. Kayla smiled faintly, her eyes wet. Welcome back. Darren, but the moment didn't last long. A distant rumble came from the enemy ship. More troops on the way. We need to leave, Lyra said, joining them. Now Raylan helped his brother walk. Kayla ran beside them. Let's get off this rock, she said. We have what we need now. Raylan nodded, his voice steady. Now it's our turn to hunt them. Snow kicked up behind them as Raylan, Kayla, and Darren raced across the frozen ground. Lyra led the way to the ship, her armor glowing like a shield. Behind them, enemy ships began to rise from the other side of the ridge. Black and cold as death, Darren stumbled, his legs weak, but Raylan held him up. Almost there, he said. Don't stop now, I'm trying, Darren whispered. Still feel like my mind is half missing. You're doing fine, Kayla said softly. You remembered who you are. That's more than they ever expected. The moment they reached the ship's ramp, enemy blasts hit the ground nearby, throwing fire and dust into the air. Raylan threw Darren inside first. Then Kayla, then Lyra last. He jumped in and sealed the door. The ship shook as more shots hit the hull. Raylan took the pilot seat. Let's go home, wherever that is. The ship roared to life and shot into the sky. Enemy fire chasing them, but never catching. Stars opened wide around them as they broke through the clouds. Raylan leaned back, gasping, but Kayla wasn't resting. She stood near the window, staring at the stars. Her face looked calm, but her eyes were full of pain. Raylan walked over. "You okay?" She didn't answer at first, then said quietly, "It's spreading inside me faster than before." "What is?" Raylan asked. "My power," she whispered. "The blood. The bite. It's changing. It's no longer stable." Raylan stepped closer. "What does that mean?" Kayla turned to him, her voice soft and steady. "It means I'm breaking. My cells are collapsing. I wasn't meant to survive this long." Raylan's heart sank. "No, you can't give up now. We made it this far." She smiled faintly. "That's why I need your help." One last time, he didn't speak, just waited. Kayla walked over and took his hand. "Your blood and mine, they're connected now. But the balance is still incomplete. If I bite you one last time fully, deeply, it might create a full bond. It might stabilize me, or it might kill me," Raylan said. "Yes," Kayla replied, "but it's our only chance." Raylan looked into her glowing eyes, the same eyes that once belonged to a girl in a cage. Now they held the stars. He nodded slowly. "Do it." She stepped close. Her breath warm, her hands cold. "Are you sure?" "I trust you," Raylan said. "More than anyone." Kayla opened her mouth, and her fangs slid out slowly, not sharp and cruel, but smooth, glowing with soft blue light. She leaned in and bit into Raylan's shoulder. The pain hit like lightning, but it wasn't just pain. It was energy, fire, memories, and stars. His mind exploded with images. Kayla in the lab, crying in the dark, Darren helping her escape, Helix watching behind glass, cold and afraid. Then something inside Raylan broke and rebuilt itself. His body lit up, his veins burning silver. Kayla stepped back, her eyes wide, her body stopped shaking. Raylan dropped to his knees, gasping. "What? What just happened?" Kayla knelt beside him, her hands on his face. "You survived," she said. "And so did I." Raylan looked at his arms. The silver glow was gone, replaced by a soft pulse like a heartbeat in the skin. He felt strong, steady, calm. Lyra walked in, her eyes wide. "Your energy levels just spiked. What did you do?" "We completed the bond," Kayla said. "No more dying. No more broken blood. We're one now." Darren stepped forward, still weak but standing. "That's actually beautiful," he said with a half smile. But before anyone could relax, the ship's alarm rang again. "Incoming transmission," the computer said. Raylan tapped the screen. A dark face appeared, no eyes, just a mask of steel. "We see you," the voice said. "You cannot escape us. You are not chosen. You are infected." Kayla stepped forward. "No, I'm free," the voice hissed. "We will find you, and next time we won't send hunters. We'll send the fire." Raylan ended the call and turned to the group. "They're scared, that's why they're threatening. They don't understand what we've become." Kayla nodded. "They wanted to create a weapon, but they made something else, hope." Raylan looked around. "We can't just run anymore. We need to fight back. Not for revenge, but for others like Kayla. Like Lyra, like Darren." Lyra raised her head. "Then we find the others, the forgotten ones, the silent ones. The broken." Darren smiled. "We give them a voice." Kayla looked at Raylan, her hand in his. "Together, we're stronger than they ever imagined." Raylan nodded, his voice steady and strong. "Let's make them regret ever building a cage." Outside the window, the stars stretched far and wide, full of danger, full of light, but now, they weren't running now, they were hunting, together,